Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Good morning, Los Animas County. Tried to do my best Robin Williams. Actually, that wasn't even close to Robin Williams from Good Morning Vietnam. Regardless, it's a beautiful Friday morning, 8:30 a.m. here in Trinidad, Colorado. My name is Brad Doherty. I'm here with Brody Doherty. How you doing, Brody?
I'm doing fantastic. Ready for another day of showing.
He is our cameraman for the day, and it is our pleasure to be here with you as we are starting up our second day of broadcasting here at the Los Animas County Fair. Today, it's the Swine Show, folks. See right there, we are about to begin our senior showmanship class.
Yes, sir. Today should be a fun day. We were starting out nice and early this morning at 8:30, so it's going to be nice and cool. It's going to be nice and cool as we get rolling, so it should be a real fun day. We got the pig show right now, and then we'll be coming your way again later this afternoon with the small animal show with chickens and rabbits and ducks, oh my.
Turkeys this year.
Oh, and turkeys. I forgot about the turkeys.
There have been turkeys in the past. It's been a few years since we've had Thanksgiving specials here at the Los Animas County Fair.
You know, we can officially make a turducken with the animals that we got.
We absolutely could this year at the fair. It's an exciting, exciting development.
Well, before we get to that show, we got to bring home the bacon, and that's what we're here right now for.
All right, like we said, folks, we're going to start off with our senior showmanship class. And then I believe we have a few intermediate entries. I'm not sure if we're going to have a junior showmanship class of swine showmen this morning. But we will bring the information to you and as we get them. Again, with our showmanship, a lot of times we do have some last-minute additions to the contestant entries. I see over there Destry Sumter, Caleb Sumter, Coulter Cranston, Kennedy Cranston, Blake Olguin, and Emma Amato looking to make their way into the ring. Here we go. That's Destry Sumter leading off the charge, followed by Kennedy Cranston.
Terribly sorry to correct you, but that is Caleb Sumter in the lead, Mr.
Oh, did I say Destry?
You did say Destry.
Oh, my bad. There's Destry in that pink shirt. Emma Amato right before him. Coulter Cranston and Blake Olguin, 6 competitors in the contest today.
He raised and showed club lambs and hogs for 20 years. He's currently the extension director in the Golden Plains area, and he said that he likes to do these types of shows because it's education and it's for the youth. Thank you for being here. If you could please give him a round of applause.
A little bit of information there about our judge today. I think if you could sum up hog showmanship in one word, the word would be intense.
Absolutely.
Generally speaking, unless the kids are spoken to, you're not going to see them crack a smile. It is a matter of focus for these senior showmen. We should have some dramatic background music for our next showmanship contest, Brody.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, it's different than, like, any other showmanship class or for any other animal where you just kind of walk them around and set them up for the judge to see them. For hog showmanship, you really just try to drive them towards the judge so they can get the best look. So everyone's kind of looping around and doing whatever they can to get their hog in the eyes of the judge. You know, I don't know if you know this, but they made a reality TV show about hog showing.
Oh, I was not aware of that. I'm going to have to check that out. I bet that's fun.
Yeah, it's called Pig Royalty, and it's a very interesting show. We watched some of it when I was in Miss Howell's ag class, and it was an interesting show. Talking about the dynamics of hog showing.
You know, sometimes in the showmanship classes, you can tell right away who's the most experienced one, whose animal's behaving, you know, better than the others, the kind of things that they're looking for in their showman. Tell you what, these 6 young competitors here seems to be a pretty even field. All of their animals behaving exceptionally well. Many of our showmen have that intense focus.
You can tell pretty clearly all these young showmen have worked with their animals to a certain degree before. Most of these pigs know what they're doing, keeping their heads up and looking pretty, because that's their job.
Looks like the judge is having a conversation with Emma Amato over there. Expect him to kind of work his way over to each competitor.
And as part of showmanship, the judge almost always asks questions of the competitors, just about their animal or about how they show, or trying to gauge their knowledge.
This year's 2024 Los Animas County gold sponsors are Topar Trailer Sales, Trinidad State College Foundation, Justin Scott, Los Animas County 4-H Foundation, Mom and Earls, First Choice Title and Escrow, Bill on Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep and Ram, Jack and Catalyst, Weatherford, and Tri-Peak Theaters. If you could please give them a round of applause.
You just heard our announcer for the morning. That's Ty Winter, giving credit to some of our fair sponsors. You know, our fair sponsors really do a lot to kind of keep the lights on here at the county fair. There's a lot of expenses that go into pulling off a county fair. So we genuinely appreciate each of those corporate and family sponsors that help make this show possible. Judge now talking to Coulter Cranston over there. Maybe they're talking about the weather. Maybe they're talking about the Olympics, which kick off tonight. Opening ceremonies,
Do
Brody.
they really?
Opening ceremonies.
You know, I feel like in honor, we ought to introduce an Olympic portion to our shows. And, you know, part of showmanship is seeing what feats of athleticism we can see these hogs do. Yesterday, we already saw a cow compete in the hurdles during the beef market show.
Yes, and you can see the aftermath of that competition. I don't know that we caught the actual hurdle, but we did catch the capture of the market steer that got away momentarily. Maybe we'll clip that out and make us a highlight reel. It was definitely Olympian.
Oh, absolutely. You know, sometimes in the hog show, you don't see hogs jump over any fences, but they can get rather rowdy. I would love to see, I don't know. Well, what good Olympic competition do you think would be good for hogs?
Well, they're surprisingly quick and agile, so I think like a little obstacle course maybe, or just a flat-out speed test. I don't know how you would do that.
You know, I would love to see barrel racing, but for hogs.
Strap a small child onto the back of the pig and see how it works. I think that
Call it bacon busted.
that would be bacon busting.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I think you're onto something here, Brody.
You know, I see nothing wrong with that.
Tell you what, if you're watching this live or maybe later on the replay, give us a shout out if you'd like to see bacon busting.
We will start our ultrasound contest at 10:30 in the pig barn. It is pretty crucial that we be lined up to go one after another. And so please just be aware that if you plan on participating in that contest, that we need you down there at 10:30. It is $10 per animal, and that is the responsibility of the exhibitor to be paid when we get down there. So 10:30 ultrasound contest starts. If anyone has any questions, let us know.
Not sure if that announcement came over the didn't come over the audio, but that's okay. We're just hearing about all the fun stuff that the Los Angeles County Fair Board has put together for all the folks here at Fair. They got an ultrasound contest that they'll be running, so it's kind of a fun thing. You get to bring your animal up and then find all their interior parts, I think, is kind of how that runs. I've never done it before.
I genuinely don't know. My only ultrasound experience was 3 times in my life, and it all involved you and your 2 brothers when you were in the womb.
There you go. Fair enough.
So I'm not sure how that plays out here at the county fair, but maybe that'd be kind of interesting to go check it out this afternoon and see. But I think that's happening almost concurrent with the rabbit and poultry show. So, and again, it's for the bigger animals at the fair. You know, I really appreciate the way our judge here is taking his time picking out his showman. He's making his way over here to the announcer stand to grab a mic. Let's see who he crowns victorious.
Well, let's give these seniors a big round of applause out here, working well in the show ring. When it comes to me, you come out here in showmanship, for me, they've got a job to do. They got to come out here, they got to present their pig and show their pig the best they can when they're out here, but there's more to it than that. They got to do a lot of work at home. They got to do a lot of work getting them prepped and ready to be in the show ring, and all of that goes into it for me as well, not just coming out here and being able to show a pig, but you got to do all the parts and all the pieces correctly. I visited with all your young people here. Certainly they all did an outstanding job answering my questions and having a conversation with me about their pig. For me, when you get right down to it, I think there's one individual that just kind of excels. I'll talk just a little bit about the general things that I look for in a pig showman. First and foremost, number one is continuing to keep their pig on the drive. I think it's important to be able to keep their pig moving and consistently walking around the show ring. Second one is giving me all 3 views that I want to see. I want to see both profiles, so I want to see their right side and their left side. I want to see them drive right at me, and I want to see them drive right away from me so I can see that front view and that rear view. It's very important to me that you find an exhibitor that can do that, at the same time maintaining an adequate distance from the judge, paying attention to where pigs are at in the show ring, what direction pigs are moving, how you maneuver your pig around with other pigs in the ring is important to me. Sometimes you just get in a crowd, that's fine. It's how you work once you get in that crowd and how you get out of that crowd. For me, there's an individual out here that I just think did an outstanding job at doing all of those parts and all of those pieces a lot more consistently than the rest. It's going to be the young gentleman in the blue shirt. He'll be your champion senior showman. I think he did an outstanding job. When he first walked into the ring, he made sure that he had my attention. He made sure that that pig's front end was elevated. That pig was elevated and driving the way that he needs to drive. I just think he does a really good job. For second place, it gets really close. I think there's 2 individuals out here that do about the same thing very consistently. Your reserve champion senior is going to be the young lady right here in front of me driving this wide belted barrel. Just a little more consistent at keeping that pig moving through the crowd and away from the crowd, or getting me a few other views than the one that I'm going to end up in third. When she gets this gilt moving, she does a really good job. For third place, it's going to be the young man right here showing in the pink shirt. Not quite as consistent at moving that pig around the crowd and getting him away or moving him against the crowd to where I can see him. Sometimes he was kind of mixed in that bottleneck. For me, it come really close. The rest of these are all very, very close for me. It's going to come down to the one that's just a little more consistent at keeping their hog moving and actually gave me a rear view. None of you guys drove your pig right at me. You need to make sure you get that pig driving at me. And it's going to be the young man showing the all-black gilt. He's going to be your 4th place senior showman. Let's give all the rest of them a massive round of applause.
There you go, folks. That'll do it for our senior showmanship. Our first place went to Caleb Sumter. Second place went to Emma Amato. Third place went to Destry Sumter. And 4th place was Blake Olguin.
Champion is Caleb Sumter.
Good showing from our seniors. Next up, we're going to have our intermediate showman. Currently lined up in the paddock, getting ready to go.
If we could now call in our intermediate swine showmanship class. Lily Amato, Caden Salapitch, and Bristol Jackson.
All right, I hope you heard that coming through nice and clear. Our intermediate showman Lily Amato, Caden Salapich, and Bristol Jackson. And these are all junior high aged showmen. Roughly 6th through 8th grade. I know Bristol will be in high school this coming year, looking to have a solid freshman volleyball season for the Kim Branson Lady Mustangs. You know, I appreciated the judge's comments and telling those showmen exactly what he was looking for in terms of wanting to see all those profiles, left side, right side, and then directly to the judge and then directly away from the judge. So I wonder if any of these intermediate showmen today picked up on those cues and realized, hey, if I do this, maybe I'm going to get that judge's attention. And also for those showmanship competitors to take that into their market classes. It's like if they can get the competitor, the judge's eye just a little bit better when he's focused in on the hog, that could serve them well. I like the coloring on Lily Amato's hog. It's kind of got some brown, some white, some black.
Looks a little bit like a calico.
It is. It's a calico hog.
The mottled turtle looking. I don't know. It's lots of fun. You know, there was a time when I knew all the breeds of hogs for FFA vet science, but that knowledge has since left my brain. I haven't practiced that since, what was that, junior year, I think? Sophomore?
It's
junior year.
Been about 4 years for you.
Mm-hmm. See, yeah, here at the Saddle Rock Sports Network, we are no subject matter experts when it comes to livestock. We are a sports broadcasting network, so we enjoy bringing you football and basketball, and we can commentate rather. I don't know if proficiently is the right word, but we're better at sports, and we're here for fun. We're bringing these shows to you, but we can't exactly provide the most interesting commentary.
Well, we've been around county fairs for a while. You know, my family is generationally showed here at the county fair. You know, you showed back here, so we do have a little bit of insight to bring, but, you know, we're not national competitors by any means.
That's
and
true.
That really, let's be honest, folks aren't tuning in to listen to us. They're tuning in to watch these young competitors do their thing. And the beautiful thing about watching from home is you can always turn down the volume.
Absolutely.
There's our judge talking to Lily Amato, again, making his way around to each competitor, testing their head knowledge.
2024 silver sponsors are Trinidad Animal Clinic, the Water Station, LARCC Cattle Company, the LARCC family, Coley's, and Black Bear Hardware. Please give them a round of applause.
Well, as far as weather for a hog show, this is just about as nice as it gets. For the end of July, it's probably a cool 78, 79 degrees, maybe 80 degrees this morning. There's a nice breeze coming from the south. A lot of the haze we've seen in the sky is a little it's less thick than it has been over the last couple of days. We're watching a little news snippet. There's like nearly 200 fires burning between the northwestern U.S. and Canada right now. It's kind of crazy. Here's the judge. Let's hear his.
Let's give your intermediates a round of applause out here. Just like I said in seniors, I think there's one individual that comes out here and just does a better job keeping their hog on the move, driving, giving me good views, making sure that I'm consistently able to see the hog. Maybe not quite as quick and articulate at getting me a front view or a rear view of the hog, I think you guys need to pay attention and make sure that you drive that hog right at the judge and you drive him right away. I think that's an important piece of being able to show hogs in the industry. The individual that I think just does the most outstanding job is going to be the young lady right here showing the broken belt of gilt. I think she just is a better showman in terms of keeping the gilt on the drive. She moves around the ring with a little more confidence and step. She does a little better job of keeping that head and neck elevated and making sure that that hog's extended up to that front end. She just does a tremendous job with that. For me, it gets a little bit closer, and I think it comes down to a couple pigs that maybe quite aren't as consistent when they're moving, and that makes it a little bit harder for these two individuals to show. But for me, it's going to be the one that's just a little bit more articulate at making sure they stay in front of me and keep me able to see them. That's going to be the young lady showing the red and black rump gilt. She's going to be your reserve champion intermediate showman. Just a little more articulate at getting that gilt in front of me, making sure I had to see it. The young lady that's going to be third, I think, is an outstanding showman. She's got a gilt that wants to go to the exit gate, and when she comes out here and she's got that gilt that wants to go to the exit gate, it makes it awful hard when I'm looking this way trying to see pigs. It made it awful hard for her. So let's give her a really big round of applause. I think she's a tremendous showman. She just needs a gilt that's going to cooperate with her on the move.
And there you have it, folks. That's our intermediate showmanship class. First place went to Caden Salopich. Second place went to Lily Amato. And third place to Bristol Jackson.
Second place, Lily Amato. Your grand champion is Caden Salopich. Please give her another round of applause.
All right, it looks like we have several junior showmanship. I see two making their way to the ring.
I'd like to call the junior showman to
I believe we have a total of 3 junior showmen that'll be out there today.
Owen Ferndale and Caden Gomez.
Well, there's our third kind of getting a little closer. And they're all wanting to make their way back to the feed barn.
You know, I can't say I blame them. You're telling me I got to move. I've been sitting on my rump for 2 whole days.
I've been relaxing
Underneath
underneath the misters and the fans.
Opportunity. There will be an open showmanship class. Please stop by the booth and let us know. Thank you.
All righty, so, you know, one thing here on the Saddle Rock Sports Network is we do what we do to not only bring you fun stuff to watch at home, but to give these competitors, or to give these student broadcasters a little bit of part-time income. Well, we're having a little trouble back there with Caden Gomez's hog. They're trying to get it ready to roll. You know, we're able to pay these student broadcasters with because of generous sponsors, business sponsors, and you'll see their screen, their logos rotating to the bottom left side of your screen. We also have commercials that we run for these sponsors. And it's kind of a challenge to do those when we're running through these classes, and the break between those classes is pretty fast. Like, this was only about a 30-second break, and you never know how quick they're going to come in. But we're going to highlight and talk about each of those sponsors and run those commercials when we can. And we are grateful for each of them stepping up and helping us stay on the air.
And then the Cam Buyers Group, Ron Waite or John Cranston are the contacts for that.
Here we've got Caden Gomez and Owen Ferndale in the screen. We got Liam Ferndale in the right here next to the booth, right in front of me, getting his hog back into the center of the action. There's Liam on your screen. Owen's hog appears to find the wood chips tasty this morning. These young competitors, it's always fun to see the skills develop as we go from young to old with each of these showmanship classes across the species. That's kind of the pattern. Owen's going to get his steps in. His little hog is
Not wanting to cooperate.
wanting to get in, do some laps at a high rate of speed. Says, if I can get away from Owen, I can get back to my nice little comfy digs in the barn.
You know, that's something about showing pigs that I find kind of funny, because it's all just a little bit of chaos. Like, you can't really walk them on a halter. and you can't really line them up like you do for cows or goats. So you kind of just got to just whack them and hope they go in the direction. And you work your pigs so they get used to that and kind of have a direction figured out. But most of the time, it just looks like chaos.
Well, it is. It's organized chaos. And you'll notice with the senior showmen to right now, remember how those senior showmen really had their hogs under control and their hogs kept moving and their hogs weren't interested in stuff. Not only is that, just a little more experience by those older showmen, but would be willing to bet that they've been to some jackpot shows and have done some other time in the ring. A lot of time it's curiosity as these animals get into the ring for the first time. And some of those senior showmanship hogs have probably been down this road before. So they know what's expected. And this is a great learning experience for these young showmen here. It looks like we got one junior open showman getting ready to walk a pig in the ring too. So we'll have us another fun little show. Well, I think Owen Farindellis might be the Olympic champion.
Let's give these three juniors a big round of applause for being out here.
All right, here comes our judge, going to give us a winner.
You get into this age, as you start coming out here, start learning yourself in the show ring and learning what you're doing. I think that's where it begins and where it starts. I think there's one individual out here that maybe is just more consistent at keeping their pig driving and keeping their pig moving in terms of letting me be able to see. I do have to, when you get into this group, I have to try to move around and find them a little bit, but for me it comes down to the one that's maybe moving their hog just a little bit more consistently, not just following their hog and having some control, being able to move the hog in a direction that they're wanting to move. I think this individual is maybe just a little more consistent in that regard. It's going to be the young man in the blue shirt. He's going to be your champion junior showman. There's a couple times where I'd like to see him not walk just along a fence. He got content when that pig was walking along a fence, just letting it walk. Take control and move it away and get it out in the middle of the show ring. I think that'll help you a little bit better in terms of coming out here into the show ring. Get it out in the middle of the ring. Don't just let it move up and down a fence, okay? Don't be comfortable with that regard. When it comes down to reserve, the young lady's going to be your reserve champion showman. I think she's just more consistent at keeping that big barrel on the move. She does have a tendency at times to just follow the hog move. I want you to take some initiative and take some control at getting in front and making that pig go the direction you want it to go, not just get it moving and then following it. I do want to compliment her on her attentiveness of me and where I'm at in the show ring. I think of the three showmen that were out here, she was the most aware of where I was at in the ring. So I want to commend her for that. I want to say that was an outstanding job when you're out here in the ring. Where the judge is at is an important thing to pay attention to. The young man that's going to be third really has a gilt that is wanting to just go where she wants to go. And as long as she's moving, he follows. But I would love to see him at least slow her down a little bit, get a little bit more consistent drive out of this gilt, and then be able to tell the gilt to go where he wants it to go, rather than once it gets moving, just follow it and watch it go and then try to catch up to it. Let's give all three of those juniors another big round of applause.
Third place, Owen Farindelli. Second place, Caden Gomez. And your 2024 Junior Swine Showman Grand Champion is Liam Farindelli. Give him a round of applause.
Well, there you go, folks. You heard it right there. Liam Farindelli is your junior showmanship champion. Looks like we have a open class coming up.
Last call for anybody that would like to show in the Swine Open class.
All right, we want to again thank all of our broadcast sponsors. You'll see the logo there of Born Pretty Jewelry. That's owned and operated by J.C. Sumter. You might see her in the ring with a camera. She also has a little photography business she runs.
Owen Farindelli and Caleb Sumter.
And here comes our open class. We've got Abilene Mosman and Jorah Cranston, our two open class showmen.
Couple of clover buds.
And I think these girls have shown in just about every open class that they've had the opportunity to.
Yes, we've seen them in the goat and sheep open class as well. Jora Cranston right there doing a great job keeping her hog on the move. Abilene's over there in the corner wanting to head back to relaxation time. I don't mind. I don't necessarily blame him. You know, it's kind of early in the day. I could head for a little relaxation too.
That's true, and this very well could be the first chance these girls have had to work with these pigs. You just whale it with that show stick.
Yeah, zoom in on that. That's working on that baseball/golf swing. Abilene just getting to work.
To her credit, though, she isn't moving that hog the way that she wants him to.
Now we got it on the move. Good job, Abilene. Fun times. If you can't giggle at what we get to do here at the county fair, well, then you need to just get your heart checked because this is a fun time.
Absolutely.
Well, we had Owen Farindelli's hog that gets the Sprinter Award, and Abilene's gets the Pinata Award.
I feel like that's an apt description.
Yes, that's our new gold medalists.
Yeah, a combination brick wall and pinata, not wanting to move and paying a price for it.
All right, here comes our judge. Going to let us know what he thinks of these two cute little showmen.
Let's go ahead and give these two individuals a massive round of applause. I got to tell you, as I talked in showmanship, and I want to make sure that people understand how important it is to make sure that I get views, make sure that you keep the hog moving. For two individuals that are this young, they haven't been driving. I know that these pigs belong to other people. They're not theirs. But let's give both of them a big round of applause. They did an outstanding job, phenomenal in terms of I look forward to coming back in future and seeing these two individuals in the show ring. Let's give them both another big round of applause.
And as expected,
showmen were Abilene Weissman and Jora Cranston. Give them a huge round of applause. They're the future.
All right, folks, as expected, we just a fun recognition of the younger showman not placing those two cute little girls, both doing their best. Again, Pinata gold medal thus far going to Abilene Mosman. Owen Farindelli getting the sprinter medal.
With Class 1, Destry Sumter, Owen Farindelli, and Caleb Sumter.
All right, time for the first market class.
Jackson, Emma Amato,
We got the Sumter brothers, Destry and Caleb and Owen Farindelli off to the races again. Our gold medalist back in the ring.
Yes, sir, and this is our lightweight pig class. And the cool thing about pigs is you can have a comparison with their weights to something that's a little bit more familiar. So this is about our wide receiver class of hogs that we have here. 217 pounds is the heaviest hog we have here, which is about the weight of Las Vegas Raiders receiver Devontae Adams. That's the closest receiver I could find to have a comparable weight.
Round out our list of sponsors for this year's county fair. We'd like to thank Big R, Dave
You know what's
Trucking,
his...
Robinson Sawmill, and O'Grace Operating LLC. Thank you.
There you go, a little more recognition to some of our local fair sponsors. I just always think it's so amazing when you think, oh, that's just a hog. What is it? 18 inches off the ground, maybe 20 inches. That's a lot of compact muscle in a package. You can see how they are so critical to our food production industry. That's a lot of meat in that package right there, Brody.
Oh, yes, sir. A lot of bacon, a lot of roasts, delicious pork chops, sausage. Oh, my. I'm sorry, can you tell I haven't really had much breakfast today?
Just in terms of context, these are Caleb Sumter, just graduated from Des Moines High School. I bet he's weighing in at probably 170, maybe 180 pounds. He's outweighed by his pig by at least 30, maybe 40 pounds. Again, a lot of muscle mass in that package of a hog right there.
And as opposed to the showmanship, this is where the focus of the judge really shifts from the person showing the pig to the pig itself, as you're judging pig based on muscle content and possibility of production, all those good things.
As we transition out here into the Market Hog Show, for me, I think there's an individual that just nose to tail is probably more complete in the way that it's put together. I'm going to go ahead and start the class with the Hampshire Barrow over here. I think he's more complete nose to tail in terms of his structure, the way that he's put together in his top line, the rib shape, the bulges that he's got up through his chest floor. I start to evaluate the carcass merit, the muscle that he's got. He comes out of his top with a lot of boldness and freshness in terms of the expansion of his top. You get behind him, he's big and he's dimensional through his ham. He's a barrow that when you watch him drive at you, he's a wider chested barrow that tracks away from you with just as much width. If I could change him just a little bit, I want to lengthen his stride. I want to lengthen him just a notch. He wants to be just a touch shorter and tighter in the way that he moves. For me, that's a small hole on a very well-built, well-patterned barrow to go ahead and win the drive. The young lady, or the other young gentleman's barrow here, the narrow-belted barrow, he's going to be second. I like the elevation that he's got up through his front end. He's a little bit longer strided out of his front end than the class winner that I used to win. But when I start to evaluate him through the last half of his skeleton, he wants to get a notch easier and weaker in that ham-loin junction, the way that loin and ham tie together. He's not quite as correct as he tracks out of his rear wheels. He wants to be a little bit too upright in terms of the way that he walks off of those back feet. I need to correct him in those two structure points to make him competitive with my class winner. But he's another big top, big hip, productive. I like the boldness of his rib. He's a well-made barrow. I just need to strengthen him in that top line in the way that he moves out of those back wheels. A young gentleman's blue butt gilt that's going to round out the class. I like the size. I like the scale. She's really long and extended. I need to change her skeletally. She's too straight up through her front end. She's too round out of that hip. She wants to be the shortest and most restrictive on the move. Even though she can move around the ring quickly and she gets around the ring fast, she's just not taking an athletic enough stride for me. When I start evaluating her and working through her lower third of her skeleton, she wants to be too tight and shallow in that body, not quite bold enough for me, a little bit too narrow through that chest floor. And when she tracks away from me, she's the narrowest base, narrowest skeleton gilt in the drive. I just need to change the way she's built her skeleton to have her move up. Let's give all three of these individuals another round of applause.
Good show. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say good showing from the first class of Market Hogs as Destry Sumter takes first place in the class. Second place went to Caleb Sumter, and third place went to Liam Farindelli with our Olympic gold medalist hog.
Our gold medalist sprinter just. Yeah, I bet pretty soon they're going to just let that hog go back that direction.
We got our in-ring crew on the case. We got Mason Riddle with one of the big red paddles, as well as Jacob Larson and Cassidy Larson, helped out by our superintendents and photographers.
All right, our next round of showmen, we got 4 here in this next class. It's going to be Bristol Jackson, Emma Amato, Caden Salapich, and Liam Farindelli in class number 2. This class about 10-ish pounds heavier than the last one. All these hogs weigh in between 226 and 231 pounds. So just a 5-pound weight spread here in this class.
Yes, sir, and these hogs slightly heavier. This is what I would like to call our quarterbacks class. We checked out the weights a little bit earlier, and Patrick Mahomes weighs about 225. And so he's a little bit lighter than these hogs, but it's about as close, a fairly close comparison, I'd say.
The Patty Mahomes class, all right, sounds good. I like it. The quarterback class.
Yes, sir, and if you think about it, Patrick Mahomes, he's like, what, 6'3", 6'4"? You pack that whole dude down into a hog that comes about, what, 2 feet off the ground? That's pretty impressive.
at the conclusion of our hog show today. After that one, we'll have a second broadcast featuring our rabbit and poultry show here at the county fair. That's scheduled to begin about 10:30. Again, that's all tentative, depends on how long this swine show takes today. And then tomorrow we will kick off the day with the round robin showmanship contest. That'll be at 9 a.m., where the winners of all of the showmanship contests come to compete and show different species. It's a lot of fun. We'll have multiple cameras, things set up so you can catch all the action. It's a lot of fun for us to broadcast, and we think it'll be a lot of fun for you all to be able to see as well. And then we're rounding out our Los Animas County Fair coverage with the market sale Saturday night. That starts at 6 o'clock. First time we'll be broadcasting the market sale. Want you all to know that if you do happen to be watching that and join us online, you'll be just in a view-only option. We do not have the ability to be accepting actual bids on animals via our YouTube stream. So if you'd like to bid on one of the animals, come on down to the fair. Or if you're not able to be here in person, you can reach out to one of the fair board members. There are several buyers groups where people can contribute any amount, really. Even $25 helps. And that all of that money gets pulled together and it buys one or two, or actually quite a few animals here at the fair. All right, let's hear how the judge places this class.
So as you come out here, there's a few different types and kinds when you get out here and start working these four. For me, I think the one that puts together the most complete package, or at least puts the parts together the most complete, is going to be the young lady's wide-belted gilt here right in front of me.
Emma Motto takes first.
Strong in her top line. She's powerful and rugged in the way she's made through her skeleton. She's really bold through that front end. When you get behind her, she really tracks with a lot of base width. She's very soft and smooth when she tracks. If I could change her just a little bit, I need to extend her and clean her up just a notch. She wants to be just a notch shorter in that front end for me. I need to extend her in that regard to make her a more complete gilt. But certainly I think she's a high-quality gilt that puts together the most good. The one that's in second is the one that complements her in terms of pattern and design. She's better through her front end, better through that elevation in her skeleton. It's going to be the young lady's black gilt. She's going to be sitting here in second. I like the expression and shape of muscle that she's got in her top. I like the expression that she's got when I get behind her. In order for me to get her to compete with my class winner, though, I need to bolden her up in her rib shape. I need to bolden her up right in her shoulder. I need to get behind her. When I watch her track away, she needs to track with more base width and skeleton and a little bit more confident stride off those rear wheels. She wants to be a notch too straight and stiff right in her hop joint, not quite as athletic for me as my class winner, but certainly a high-quality, well-patterned gilt to sit there in the second hole. For me, the red and black rump gilt, or barrow, is going to be the one in third. I think he's more like our class winner in terms of his production. He's a bigger, bolder made kind of barrow. He's got more rib shape, base width than the one that I had in second. He's a big topped, big hip barrow, but when I start to evaluate him in terms of his structure, he's too straight through that front end. He's not athletic off of his rear wheels, wants to round out of his rump. He doesn't move across the ground with a confident enough step for me to move him up into the top two. But he's a big, top productive, big rib barrow that I think fits into the third hole very nicely. Young gentleman's white gilt that's going to round out the class, very similar in that in third. She's a big body, big top, big hip, productive kind of gilt that I just need to change the way she's built skeletally. She's too straight up through that front end. She's too short and round out of that rear hip. When I get behind her and start watching her track away, she wants to walk underneath herself and her skeleton and not take enough confident stride. She's actually a little bit narrower tracking and narrower base than the three that I have above her. I need to widen her up just a little bit in her lower skeleton. Let's give all four of those individuals another big round of applause.
Past two placings.
That'll do it for our second class of market hogs. We had first place go to Emma Motto, second place to Caden Salpitch, third place went to Bristol Jackson, and fourth to Liam Farindelli.
Hollister from Eaton, Colorado. He's been involved in the livestock industry for over 40 years, raising and showing club lambs and hogs for 20 of that. He's currently the extension director in the Golden Plains area and says that he comes out to do these shows to help educate the youth. Please give him a round of applause for coming out today.
Well, we got one vote for bacon busting becoming an official Olympic sport here in an Olympic year. Again, we could pick the smallest of kids as to not, overpower or injure any of the hogs.
Absolutely.
But I think we got us an idea that could become a generational entertainment event for.
Emma Amato,
Oh,
Jace
yeah.
Cannon, and
I think it could be a lot of fun. I mean, I know that at state fairs I've seen where they have, they call it hog racing, but it's little piglets that they have run around a track. So I don't see why we can't just continue to breed for speed for hogs.
Hog racing. I think that this could be everybody has $1 million idea. I don't know if it's $1 million idea, maybe a $35 idea. I'm not sure what you'd.
You know what? That's fair. I know it's,
but it's still pretty. In terms of entertainment value, just the pure joy and smiles it would bring to the hearts and faces across America, that's definitely a million smiles.
oh yeah, I would pay to watch bacon busting or just proper hog racing. Here we've got our third class of market hogs. In the ring currently, we have Caden Salpich, Lily Amato, Bristol Jackson, and Liam Farindelli.
Now, this is interesting. Caden Salapich has two whips. Or
Hog switches? I
hog
don't know.
is that what they're
Is
called?
it a switch? I don't know what
I
you
don't
call
know.
them.
Someone that knows the name of that piece of equipment, you can comment on the YouTube video. Help us help you learn more about the swine show industry.
Liam Farindelli with potentially our next entrant into our hog racing sports.
I don't think so. Will have it? Yeah. I don't know where he got it from. Just leave it up here.
Exhibitors, don't forget to get your quality assurance forms filled out, as well as your market sale consignment slips. They're over in the barn. The drop box is there as well. Please do that for Mrs. Amato. She'd appreciate it. Thank you.
You know, with the weights of this class, I was struggling to find an apt comparison. This is either our linebacker class or our LeBron James class, as LeBron James weighs in at about 250 on his heaviest of days. So this is about right, since our hogs are 240 to 245 pounds in this class.
Well, earlier on, as we were discussing our athlete weight comparison, didn't you say Travis Kelce was sort of in this?
Yes, sir. Travis
Weight
Kelce
range?
was also, Google has him listed as 240 or 250. So yeah, it's about the same.
Come out here in this class, I think there's a pair of hogs that just kind of move up. I think they both have a little bit of an advantage over the other in terms of when you come out here and start sorting them. For me, it's going to come down to the one that I just think is the more correct in the way that she's designed in her skeleton. I'm going to use this Wild Mark Black Gilt to be your class winner. I think she's more athletic on the stride. I think she's a nicer pattern gilt. I will preface before I start talking, I don't think there's a light muscled hog in this drive. They all have plenty of muscle. For me, as I evaluate that gilt, she's a big, fresh top, big hipped gilt. I need to change her just a little bit in the lower third of her skeleton. I think she wants to flatten just a touch in her forerib. She wants to be a little bit tighter bodied for me. I need to soften her up in that lower third so that I can consider her to be what I would call a fresher, more productive kind of made gilt. But I think that's a small hole. She's well patterned. She's well made. She's athletic. When she drives, she elevates up through that front end. I really appreciate the way she steps out of her rear wheels. The one that I have in second is the more productive mate of the two, is bigger, bolder bodied, is bolder through that forerib and rear flank. That's going to be the young lady's red and black rump gilt that's going to sit in the second hole. She's a big top, big hip gilt that's big footed. She's bold and tracks wide off both ends. I need to change her the way she's built just in her overall skeleton. She wants to be a notch lower and shorter up through that front end, not quite as elevated in the way that she's made from her pattern. I need to extend her up through that front end in order to compete with the pattern that I have in my class winner, but certainly a very high-quality gilt that's very productive and rugged in the way she's made to sit in the second hole. When you get down into it and start really evaluating the next two, it gets a little bit tougher for me. I think they're both made very similar. For me, I'm going to use the young gentleman's gilt here to be third. I think she's just a notch more productive in terms of the way that she's built in her top line. She's got more natural width when I evaluate her through the top third of her skeleton, and she stands on just a much larger foot than the one that I have in fourth. I need to change this gilt. She's too straight through her shoulder. She's too round in her hip and too tight on her rear hock. She doesn't move across the ground with enough athletic stride for me. I need to fix her in terms of her skeleton to move her up, but she's a big top, big hip, productive made gilt that I just need to fix her skeleton. Young lady's barrow that I'm going to round out the class with, very similar in terms of structure as the one I have in third. I need to fix him up through his front end and fix him out of his hip and correct those parts so that he takes a more athletic, more confident stride. But for him, I think he's just the frailest and most common through the lower third of his skeleton. Not quite bold enough, not quite stout enough for me to move up in the class. Let's give all four of them another big round of applause.
In Class 3 placings, fourth place, Bristol Jackson. Second place,
That'll do it for our third class of market hogs. First place went to Caden Salapich. Second place was Lily Amato. Third place, Liam Farindelli. And fourth place was Bristol Jackson.
Getting ready, Emma Amato, Jace Cannon, Kenny Prince.
All right, our hogs aren't quite. Oh, I see a couple in the waiting area. Only 3 hogs in this next. We're now in the 256 to 258 pound range. How does that compare to your athletic breakdown? Who'd you find for us?
Well, I was looking things up and I couldn't find a whole lot of conclusive evidence, but I think that sort of in this range was close to like our Aaron Donalds of the world, potentially. I think he might have been a touch heavier. Actually, no, that was wrong.
Maybe kind of some of our
he's
linebackers.
Like yeah, this is like our linebackers. So this is...
How would J.J. Watt kind of compare?
J.J. Watt, when I looked it up, J.J. Watt's like 280-ish pounds.
Oh, so he'd definitely be in the next class. All right, the next class is our J.J. Watt class. What about Von Miller?
Ooh, let me look that up real quick. I've got our handy-dandy pocket assistant right here with me. Let's see what Google says about how much Von Miller weighs.
Now, while Brody is looking that up and we got a little delay before our next class, let's talk about one of our newest sponsors, Trinidad Greenhouses and Flora, located right here in Trinidad, Colorado. They've got a wide selection of live plants, both indoor and outdoor, decorative and for your vegetable or fruit garden to really liven up your whole experience. Isn't it life better with some colorful plants all around your property? Come check out Trinidad Greenhouses and Flow. They also have a large collection of vases and bouquets and other varieties and offerings. So again, we really thank Trinidad Greenhouses for their help. They're having a little trouble back there in the waiting area getting one of those hogs to head to the show ring. He says, no thanks, I want to head back into the barn. And when a 258-pound animal decides, you know what, I'm moving, and they're only 24 inches off the ground, that's a pretty low center of gravity, Brody.
That's true. If that thing comes just charging straight at your knees, there's a fair chance that you just go over it.
You know, they do say as we are getting ready for football season to start, they say low man wins. Well, guess who's going to win it in a dude versus hog competition? That hog is going to win. Maybe we can zoom in on Jacob Larson and Mason Riddle putting up the fight of the century back there.
Well, I think it's almost more fun to see him in the background, just like, oh, what are they doing now? Oh, where are they going? But, yeah, they're definitely putting in work trying to get that hog in.
All right. Tell you what, let's hear from a couple of our sponsors. It might take a minute. If we start the class, we'll get right to it.
LARCC Trucking is the place to call if you have something to haul. A family-owned trucking business since 2021, LARCC is named after the owner's children, their motivation to create a successful future. LARCC is ready to help you haul your hay, cattle, gravel, or equipment anywhere in southwestern United States. LARCC also buys and sells hay. Give them a call today at 970-274-0826 and get ready to haul.
That was LARCC Trucking, folks. They've been network sponsors of us for the last couple broadcast seasons. Really appreciate Cutler and Leah Farindelli helping us out. You know, they're two boys showing hogs in this show. We're thankful that they're committed to all the different realms of youth activities and events going on in all of our communities. Let's hear from another one of our sponsors, still waiting for that wrestling match to finish back there.
Woody's Furniture invites you to stop by one of their two convenient locations to browse their fine selection of beautiful furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more for your home. Visit their original store in downtown Raton or their new store in Trinidad on Freedom Road, right next to Big R, for a personal and professional furniture shopping experience. Woody's Furniture proudly supports the student athletes and student broadcasters of this tournament.
All right, it's pointed this way. Are we going to get that hog coming this way?
Yes, folks, here we have our next entrant in the Pig Olympics. And I think we may have to create a new event just for this one specific hog. He was trying his hardest to knock over those folks. We got Bacon Bowling is next up on our event list.
Yes, that would be Jace Cannon in his 258 entry. The gold medalist in Bacon Bowling thus far. That
Yes.
poor hog is tired. Look at that hog. He is exhausted. Just exerted a lot of energy.
It's going to be a long walk around the ring for him.
But Emma Amato and Kennedy Cranston also in the ring. Their hogs weighing 256 pounds and 258 pounds, respectively. Emma placed second in the senior showmanship competition earlier today. Look at the front end of that hog, just raised high, walking proud.
Yes, sir, and we did look up some comparable weights of athletes for this class, and most linebackers are built about 250 to 260 pounds. But I thought it was funny. I looked up Zion Williamson. He weighs about 250. I think he weighs about 260 pounds. So the basketball player graduated from Duke a couple years ago, playing for the New Orleans Pelicans. He's about the size of some of these hogs.
So this is our Zion Williamson / NFL linebacker class right here.
Yes, sir. There's a lot of bacon on these boys. And I believe Emma Amato already has a class winner sitting in the holding pens to our right side, if I'm not mistaken. Did she win a class? Oh, never mind.
Emma was in the class with Caden Salapich, and Caden won that
that's
class.
right. My mistake, folks.
Judge taking a nice look at these two, really kind of looking at the Kennedy Cranston Emma Model Hogs. Let's hear from him, see what he picks.
Come out here in this class, I think there's a pair of hogs that just kind of fit together in the way that they're made overall. I think there's one that's just a little bit more correct in its skeleton. The way that it tracks off of its rear wheels is probably where I see the greater advantage. But I think they're both a little bit different. One's a little more productive and bold. One's a little bit more extended and long. I think you got to try to decide for me. When you get right down into the pig industry, when you've got as much muscle as they have right now, and they've got the top and the body and the hip that they've got, it's got to come down to the ones that are built from the ground up a little bit for me. I'm going to use the Hampshire Gilt to be my class winner. I think she's just more athletic out of her front end. She takes a more correct stride through that front shoulder. She gets across the ground a little bit better. Yeah, I want to change her a little bit. She's a little bit shorter through that front end. She's not quite as extended for me as I want to see her. But in terms of boldness, crispness, shape of top, I think she's the biggest top gilt in the drive. She's really impressive right over that loin edge, and the way that hog ties into her ham. I really appreciate the way she's built there. I just think she's more correct up through her front end in terms of skeletally. Young ladies, red and black belted or spotted gilt, I think is going to be your second place class winner. I really appreciate the size and scale that she's got. She's extended through her front end. She's really long bodied. She's got some extension and elevation through that front end. I need to change her the way she's built in her shoulder and on her front feet. She wants to be too straight up through that front end. She's too tight and restrictive when she tracks out of that front end, and when she walks, she paddles out of that front. And I need to make her more athletic where she's stepping out and striding as opposed to paddling. When I get behind her, she's just a little more common in her hip shape than the gilt that I used to win. She's a little more common right out of that top part of her rump, but a high-quality gilt that's really extended long, and she, too, has a big O top in her, and I really appreciate what she's done. She's fed right and fresh. Come out into the third place hole is a bear that I think is really productive in the way that he's made. He's a big-bodied, kind of just soft, easy-feeding kind of bear. He's a bear that when I start to evaluate him, I need to change the way he's built in his skeleton first. He's too straight and round up through that front end. He's splay-footed up front. When I get behind him and evaluate him in his skeleton, he's short and round out of that hip. He wants to walk underneath himself when I get behind him. He's frailer and smaller footed and a little bit narrow through that base than I want to see. I just need to fix him skeletally, and then we can start talking about how he would change the way maybe his muscle is shaped in the pattern. But he's certainly productive, certainly easy feeding. Really have to appreciate those parts about him. Let's give them all another big round of applause.
Class 4 results. Third place, Jace Cannon. Second place, Kennedy Cranston. First place, Emma Amato.
We've got our hog that didn't want to come into the ring, now doesn't want to leave the ring.
Well, you know, it'll be interesting to see if they just make the
Class 5
executive career decision and go back the way it came, because that's what it wants. Oh, the fight is on, folks.
Well, we've got our next class of 5 hogs lined up and ready to go, so it might be hard to get that hog back through the gate without causing a ham riot.
Oh, we got some momentum. Is it going to turn the corner?
He's almost
This is
there.
our bacon bowling champion. Oh,
And he
and
made
let's give a round of applause to our ring workers.
Credit to our hog wranglers. Stephen Cassidy Larson, Mason Riddle, and Jacob Larson.
All right, ladies and gents, Class 5 ready to enter the ring now. We got 5 hogs in this 5th class for you.
This is where we start getting into our heavy fellas. Starting at 270, going all the way up to 285 are these hogs. And this is what I would humbly like to refer to them as our offensive lineman class.
Oh, the O-line. All right.
Yes, sir. We looked up some of the weights of offensive tackles, and they range anywhere from 270 to 280. So that's about the range we have split for these hogs that are geared up, ready to go.
Here we go. We got the first of our competitors coming on in. That's going to be Cameron Rosas, a coming sophomore at Kim High School. Football and basketball player, the point guard. Oh, we
Runaway
got someone.
hog.
Oh, guess who it is? It's a Farindelli sprinter. We also have Caden Gomez, Blake Olguin, Owen Farindelli in the ring. It looks like, well, there were 5 on the list, and I only see 4. Maybe we had a scratch.
Class 6 could please be getting ready.
Yes, sir. We had Bristol Jackson on the list to come in for this class, but she has not made it into the ring. And sometimes that happens. Maybe your pig has just had some unforeseen issues that developed during the night and aren't able to make it into the show ring, which is always a bummer. But she's showed at least one other hog in the show today, so.
Yeah, she was in class number 2 and also competed in showmanship earlier, so yeah, we'll take this class of 4. Judge giving a nice look to Blake Olguin's little hog right here. Blake doing a very nice job of keeping his hog in front of that judge. Maybe taking some notes from earlier, giving him that walk away from you view. Judge looking now at either Caden and Owen Farandeli's hog.
Come out here in this class. I think there's a class
here we
winner
go.
And when you bring her out here and put her in with the other three, I think she just sorts herself to the top. Young man's black kilt's going to be my class winner. She's big top, she's big hip, she's bold in that front portion through the center portions of her rib. I really like her through her front end. She's extended and long. I need to change her just a little bit, though. If I'm going to make her perfect, I need to fix her out of her back wheels. She wants to be a little bit too short and choppy when you start to evaluate her stride out of her back wheels. That's because she's a notch too tight and restrictive right in her hock. She doesn't set on her pasterns quite as soft as I'd like to see off that rear wheel. And I want her track just a little bit wider and more natural when I get behind her. But certainly in this class, she's big top, she's bold rib, she's big hip, she's cool fronted. I think she's the nicest pattern guild. I think she wins it pretty handedly. When you come down to it in terms of second, I'm just going to use the one that I think is more productive in the way that he's made. He's got more natural width than the other two. That's going to be the young gentleman's blue spot back barrow that's over here on the far side. He's going to be second place. I think he's bigger topped, he's bolder ribbed, he's got more skeletal base than the other two that are left in the class. I need to change this barrow the way he's built in the lower third of his skeleton to compete with my class winner. He's smaller footed, he's frailer boned, he's narrower chested in tracking, he tracks off both ends narrower than my class winner. I need to widen him up and bold him up in that lower third of his skeleton to compete with my class winner, but certainly in this class he fits in that second hole very nicely. Come down into third and fourth, we got two pigs that are built very similar in their type and kind. They're big, they're tall, they're long scaled, they're elevated off of the ground. I think they're built just a little bit too narrow in the way they're made. Both of them are narrow and flat made. They're narrow based, flat chested. When you start evaluating their muscle shape and structure, they're too flat and common in that shape. But when you start comparing the two, I think there's one that just has more natural rib shape. That's going to be the young lady's barrow. He's going to be third. Young gentleman's barrow is going to round out the class in fourth. Let's give them all another big round of applause.
And there's our Class 5 winners. We've got first place went to Blake Olguin. Second place went to Liam Farandelli. Then we had Caden Gomez and Cameron Rosas rounding out the class. I believe we have one more class of our market swine lined up in the paddock at the moment.
Class number 6 coming in between 287 and 307 pounds. 20-pound break between Kennedy Cranston, Blake Olguin, and Coulter Cranston's hogs. Who does this compare to our big boys on the
I couldn't find
gridiron?
I couldn't find any fantastic comparisons, but if we may have to go back a little bit ways in football knowledge to Vance Wilfork, or maybe let's see, what was it? The refrigerator.
William the refrigerator Perry. This is the fridge.
Perry. This is the fridge class. These are our big fellas.
I was trying to think of even pro wrestlers that might be in this big weight class around the 300-pound range.
Ooh.
There's probably a few bigger dudes. Maybe Roman Reigns, about 300
Reigns.
pounds. Brock Lesnar might be around 285.
Maybe the Big Show.
Big Show, he's about 400 pounds.
400 pounds.
Yeah,
so
he's 7 foot
a little bit
tall.
larger than these pigs.
All right, so we'll get off the wrestling track here, folks. We'll get back to the action.
In the ring right now, we got Coulter and Kennedy Cranston and Blake Olguin, class of 3 heavyweights. Coulter's topping out the class at 307. Blake's with 291 and Kennedy with 287.
So, folks, it's about 9:35 right now to conclude. After this show is over, after this class, we'll have the grand drive. Now, on my spreadsheet, information, I don't believe we had any breeding entries, but if we do, we'll stick around for those, obviously. About 10:30 is when we are scheduled to start the Poultry and Rabbit Show, and that'll be another stream right here on our YouTube channel. That's always a lot of fun. Kind of a couple of new entries. We got several turkeys joining us here at the Los Animas County Fair. And we're not talking about the turkeys behind the camera or the microphone today. We've been with you the whole time, but actual feathered Thanksgiving Day special turkeys.
Yes, sir. It should be a real fun show. We've got some quality birds that we're looking forward to see, but we're going to finish out this selection of bacon before we get to the birds.
All right, here comes our judge. Let's hear his picks.
Come out here in this class. I'm going to go ahead and use the black pattern barra here to be your class winner. I think when you start evaluating him in terms of carcass merit, he certainly has the most advantage. He's big-topped, he's big-hipped, he's a little bit higher in terms of that cutability. As you start evaluating him in his skeleton, he's a long-sided, elevated kind of barra that gets up in that front end. I need to change him just a little bit. He's a little bit too tight and flat in that forerib and lower body. I need to put some more width and natural dimension through his skeleton in terms of his rib shape. I get behind him. He wants to round and drop in that hip and not be quite as athletic off those rear wheels for me. But certainly I think in terms of carcass merit and cutability, he's in here to win. For second and third, we got two hogs that are built very much the same. They're very similar in terms of their type and kind and the way that they're built. I'm going to use the one that I think is just a notch more productive and more natural in terms of base width. That's going to be the young gentleman's barra. It's going to be second. He's got more natural base width. As I watch him walk at me in a way, he carries more natural base width than the young lady's gilt that's going to be in third. I need to change this barra in the way he's designed. He's a lower fronted barra that gets a little bit too short and heavy through that front end. He wants to be a notch too short and round out of that hip. I need to level him up in that regard, and I need to put some more bone and structure underneath him. That is an advantage where the young lady's gilt that's sitting in second, she's a notch bigger footed than the young gentleman's barra that I have in second. But as I watch her track to me and away from me, she's narrower base, she's flatter made in her skeleton. I just need to widen her up and put more skeletal width in her to compete with the young gentleman's barra that I have in second. Let's give them all another big round of applause.
Class 6 placings. In third place, Kennedy Cranston. Second place, Coulter Cranston. Class winner, Blake O'Gain. We'll now be having the grand drive.
And there we go, folks. That'll do it for our last market class, with Blake O'Gean placed as our first place. And then we had Coulter Cranston and Kennedy Cranston.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Get the car keys out, rev that engine, get the RPMs moving, because it's time for the grand drive.
I was really confused where you were going with that one. For a little
all these
bit.
car references. Yeah, we got your first place winner is going to make your way immediately here into the show ring out of the holding pen to our right. We got Kennedy Cranston already in the ring. She's showing Blake O'Gean's heavyweight. Blake O'Gean had two class winners in the competition. Judge had great comments for both of them. Emma Amato also making her way into the ring with her winner. Caden Salapich going to be followed by Destry Sumter. Last entry into the ring, Caleb Sumter.
Two Sumter pigs, two O'Gean pigs, Emma Amato and Caden Salapich.
Simply based on the judge's comments from earlier on, he had rave reviews for that black hog that Blake O'Gean is showing right now, the one that won class number 5. Where every other hog he had something to correct, something to change. He had no modifications recommended for that hog.
So the last junior market shows, last
I
time
think that one may have made an impression on him, Brody. But then again, could surprise us.
Makes a lot of sense, and you never know.
Thank you to Bill and Nancy Wilkinson and Daryl and Louise Opshot for sponsoring this for the past couple of years, and congratulations to all you exhibitors.
This almost looks like our senior showmanship contest here, Brody. With the exception of Caden Salapich, their youngest entry into the crew. She's hanging with the old kids, doing a great job out here. I really like the way this judge is taking his time in this championship drive. You know, a lot of judges, they'll have, not a lot, but every once in a while you see one that already has his winner picked from earlier in the day, and it's a quick choice. Here he's taking his time and really giving each competitor a fair shot to showcase their animal for that grand champion prize. The crowd is surprisingly quiet. Everybody's on edge. All right, ladies and gents.
Here's the verdict.
Judge has the mic. Who's he going to pick?
Well, as we come out here, first, before I start talking to pigs, I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to come out here and work with your young people. They did a tremendous job. Let's give all the exhibitors a big round of applause out here for bringing out a good set of hogs. I'd also like to say I don't necessarily have a preference for Hampshire pattern pigs. That just kind of seems to be how it fit today. They've all got some hemp in them. But when we come out here, for me, hogs, obviously we're here to raise them to put meat on a table. They've got to have that aspect in them. They've got to have big tops, big hips. They've got to have that muscle shape and dimension to them. And I think every one of these do that just fine and just handily in terms of coming out of their own respective classes. For me, then it comes down to the way they're built and their skeleton. They got to be right. We're raising these hogs to be show hogs. That means they got to track, they got to move, they got to look the part. And I think that starts the way they're built from the ground up, and you really start evaluating these hogs. It's certainly a privilege of mine to be able to come in here and study hogs from the ground up, evaluate and sort little differences. I think anybody, as you start sitting on the outside, you could probably sit here and debate and argue, and we can go back and forth on pairs, and we can make decisions, and I love to do that, and I love to enjoy in that kind of a world. But for me, it comes down to I think there's an individual out here that's just more complete, nose to tail, puts together the best package. No, is the pig perfect? Certainly not. I can probably find holes in every pig that you bring in front of me, no matter where I'm at in the world, and I'd love to make them perfect, but the reality is we don't make them perfect. But we've got one out here that I think makes them as good as you can get them and puts together the right pieces. When we come out here, before I say which individual that's going to be, I want us to remember why we're here. We're here for the youth. We're here for the education of these young people. I think all the work, the time and effort that everybody puts into this kind of a program certainly is worthwhile. I've dedicated my entire life and my professional career to this environment and this world. Being involved in the livestock industry and the youth show ring has been a big part of who I am and why I am where I'm at. And I want to make sure that our young people get the same advantage. And I think we're certainly looking to a brighter future with these young people as they continue to grow and become young adults. Let's give a big round of applause to all of those people that help make this kind of a program happen. Enough of my soapbox when we come out here. I just think there's a pig out here that when you really start to evaluate it through its skeleton, it's more correct in the way that it's built. It's more correct and it's set to its shoulder. When it tracks, when you get it behind, it's got more natural base width off both ends. That's going to be the young lady's wide belted gilt. She's going to be your grand champion market hog today. I'd like to change this gilt. She's a notch too small in her pattern for me. I need to pick her up, extend her. I need to put her in a bigger package. But when you start to really evaluate her package and the way she's built, that gilt's built right. She's built good from the ground up. She's fundamental in the way she tracks. She's athletic off both ends. She really fills the ground. She's the boldest up through that chest floor and through that rib shape. You start really evaluating her over her blade. She's young, she's youthful, she's fresh. I really, really have to appreciate the way that she's come out into the show ring.
All right, folks, that's Emma Amato with the win. They are looking at
just kind of hold off. We're going to bring the second place hog
going to
out.
bring the second place hog from class number 2. Looking back at our class list, we didn't actually mention who that was. I think it may have been either Caden Salapitch or Liam Farandelli.
I think it was Caden Salapitch. Or was it Bristol Jackson? She's got a pig lined up, getting close and ready to go.
I guess we could have took notes there at that point in time, but
that would have been smart, wouldn't it?
That would have been smart, but hey, that's all right. They'll get it figured out here. So congratulations are due to Emma Amato coming in, and just as the judge indicated, he appreciated the total package, the structure, the musculature of Emma and her 227-pound market hog. Oh, I see one coming down the way. Wait a minute, or was that? No, I think that was Emma's 256-pound hog out of Class 4 that won this. Because here comes one of the Cransons. That's going to be Coulter Cranson's, or Kennedy Cranson's 258-pound hog, coming in at the second place spot.
And Coulter Cranson now in the ring showing Blake Olguin's class winner from Class 6.
Kennedy Cranson now showing her hog. Placed second in class number 4. Both Emma is the grand champion at 258, and now this one also at 258, the one that placed second in that class. Emma is now traded lane.
Well,
she is.
I certainly think as you bring in this second place gilt, she certainly fits
all right, back
out
to the
here with
judge.
The rest of them. She's just as good as the rest. When it comes down to it for me, I'm going to follow suit in terms of what I think is just a more complete, more refined hog in terms of the way that it's built. Nose to tail just puts more good parts together. That's going to be the young gentleman's big black gilt. He's going to be your reserve champion market hog today. I really like this gilt in terms of her elevation, extension up through that front end. She's a big top, big hip, powerfully constructed gilt that's got some width and skeletal dimension to her. I do need to change her the way she tracks off of those back wheels. If she tracked better and more athletic off that rear end, she'd certainly be a little bit more in the hunt for this grand champion. But certainly a really high-quality gilt to sit here as your reserve champion. Let's give all these exhibitors another really big round of applause.
That's Blake Olguin with your reserve grand champion. Congratulations to all of these exhibitors that made it to the grand drive, to all the exhibitors that brought a project here to the Los Animas County Fair in this swine show. Successful day from our side of the booth. We're going to hang out here for just a second, see if we have any breeding exhibits. Let's quickly run a commercial from Born Pretty Jewelry, and we'll be right back in a minute.
Born Pretty Jewelry Company is owned and operated by J.C. Sumter. JC established Born Pretty in 2021 and began selling handcrafted Native American-made jewelry, mostly turquoise and sterling silver, through her online store. Since then, Born Pretty jewelry pieces have made their way to 35 states. JC sources all of her jewelry from reservations in New Mexico and Arizona and guarantees authenticity. Contact Born Pretty Jewelry or shop online at bornprettyjewelry.shop to find your next authentic piece.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We do have one breeding entry. Bristol Jackson has a gilt she's going to bring in, I believe. Here she comes. You know what we might call this one? It's the only entry in the contest. Should we call it the Simone Biles Award? Simone Biles in a class of one in terms of Olympic athletes and gymnasts. Dominant. It'll be fascinating to see what she does over the next couple of weeks in Paris in the Olympics. But the foregone conclusion by many is that the gold is hers to win, just like the buckle is going to get handed over to Bristol Jackson as the only breeding entry. Nice looking little gilt here.
And that pig wants nothing more than to go out to that exit gate. Bristol doing a fine job of keeping the pig, trying to get her pointed in the right direction. Sometimes there's only so much you can do.
Got to hand it to her, though, keeping her calm, cool, and collect. You know, Bristol was also the sole entrant in our dog show here at the Los Animas County Fair. Her mother owns and operates K9 Pawsitive Solutions based out of Swine, Colorado. They're one of our sponsors. We'll run their commercial here after this, and we'll hear what the judge has to say about Bristol's project.
Forward and present the buckle after the judge. Thank you.
Come out here in this breeding gilt class, you start to evaluate this gilt. Some things that I really appreciate about her. I like how feminine and refined she is up to that front end. I like the way she's built through her face and neck. When she actually gets out and drives for this young lady, she really is elevated through that front end. She's a little bit higher in that chest floor. She's a little bit taller at the point of her blade. When you start to really evaluate this gilt move at you and away from you, she's got some natural base width to her. She's got some extension and body width to her. But where I really start to evaluate her, she wants to be just a notch rounder out of her hip. If I could level her up just a touch out of that hip, and if I can put her on some bigger bone, she's just a little bit smaller footed for me than I'd like to see him. I want to put some more ruggedness underneath her and level her just a notch out of that hip. But here's a high-quality functional gilt. She's built really well. I think she'll do this young lady proud in terms of when she starts to raise some pigs out of this gilt. She'll get some attractiveness, some pattern, and some look to them. I really appreciate it. Let's give her a big round of applause for bringing a high-quality gilt out here.
All right, ladies and gents, we appreciate the comments of the judge on Bristol's project. She will be your breeding grand champion here in the Swine Project.
And that wraps up our swine show. So fantastic showing from all of our competitors. Very well done. Everyone did their projects proud. Although I will say my highlight of the day may just have to be Abilene Mosman going to town on her hog that just wasn't wanting to move. But
getting the Piñata Award. All right, you'll hear my closing comments after these words from Pawsitive K9 Solutions.
From puppies to the pros and everyone in between, Pawsitive K9 Solutions serves the southeastern corner of Colorado. We offer group classes, individual private lessons, as well as boarding and training. Everyone wants a well-behaved family dog. Let us help you learn to speak dog. We want all humans and dogs to have a good time while learning together. Contact us to get started on your dog training journey today.
Welcome back, folks. Again, thank you for tuning in and watching. Good Swine Show. Congratulations to all of the competitors. And we appreciate everybody tuning in and watching now. Another comment says they love the sports comparisons. So it's pretty easy when you're looking at athletic market hogs. It's going to be kind of fun to have sports comparisons when we're talking about bunnies and chickens and turkeys and
yes,
ducks
yes.
here in about an hour. That actually about 40 minutes. 10:30 is when the Poultry and Rabbit Show is scheduled to start. We'll have that right here for you on the Saddle Rock Sports Network. Again, thank you to the Los Animas County Fair, to all of our sponsors, both broadcast sponsors and fair sponsors, for making this possible. Also, thank you for all the parents for your blood, sweat, and tears and dedication to your kids and their endeavors. We appreciate you being behind the future of our community. All right. On behalf of Brody Doherty, my name's Brad here on the Saddle Rock Sports Network, and we'll see you in about 35 minutes for their Poultry and Rabbit Show.